What is up, Los Angeles, and welcome to your victory, Rams LAFB show. What a game. What a beatdown, an old-fashioned beatdown of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Erin Coscarelli joins us. Initial thoughts, just right off the top of your head. I mean, what stood out the most?
Don't mind me just tweeting things out, trying to make sure we get all of our friends on the show. I mean, look, it's not lost on me. One of the things that we've always talked about with this team, like, can we get a complete, consistent 4 quarters? And from beginning to end, it's always a bummer when you lose a guy like Baker Mayfield. Of course, we got some Teddy Bridgewater time. But it's not lost on me. An Aaron Donald celebration night. We get a double Jared's verse sack, and Kobe Turner, who he's been talking about, Aaron Donald said during his presser this week, Kobe Turner is his guy. So we get a Jared verse, 2 sacks from Jared and 2 sacks from Kobe. And then obviously you saw what happened out of the offense. So there's a lot to dice up and discuss all week long. But I think if you're a Rams fan, the other last question or thought, or for folks that are tuning in, I think people were kind of pumping the brakes on the Rams after the 2-point win over the Seahawks last week. Like, they thought it should have been more of a dominant win. And I think not we, but I think the Rams have done a pretty good job at proving doubters wrong at this point. If you've had any sort of feelings of it's like not good enough, now I think the Rams are doing what they need to be doing. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I was talking with Brock Vieira, and he had written up a little thing about how there's a bit of a bias against the Rams, which got me kind of thinking about it. I don't have the best kind of gauge on bias and whatnot. We lost Aaron. Well, anyhow, just to continue on that, I think, what does it mean to have a bias against this team? Is it that they're just too consistently good? Is it that they're just kind of boring because they're just always, in the conversation for one of the best teams in the league? I don't know. But, Matthew Stafford in year 17 having one of the best years of his career. I mean, the MVP chants have to come louder. I'm not sure what what to make of all of this talk about the Seattle game. Still, everybody's surprised by the Seattle game. Welcome back. I was just bringing up the bias, this idea of that there might be an anti Rams bias because maybe they're just too regularly good. Maybe maybe the narrative and the story isn't quite Seattle's a more exciting story to tell from a media perspective. Sam Darnold, or let's say Drake May, is a more compelling character as an MVP, even though Stafford is playing better, even though the Rams are the by far the best team, most complete team. We should go around the league and talk about some of these scores and some of these other teams just a little bit, talk about this playoff picture a little bit. So the Bears thoroughly in control of the NFC North right now at 8-3, continuing to win games. Still have questions about that whole team. The defense not great. Lions pull out a squeaker ahead of the Giants. The Jameis Winston Giants, he caught a touchdown in this game. Packers roll past the Vikings 23-6. Seattle plays a tighter game than they should have against a 1-10 Titans team. I get it's the NFL. It's all gravy there. Cowboys beat the Eagles, which leaves the Rams in the sole possession of the top of the league. Atlanta wins. Sorry to say this, guys, but our pick has dropped down to 11. So you look at the playoff seeding. You got Rams sitting up there with the bye, and then you've got Philadelphia, Chicago, Tampa Bay, and then 5th seed Seattle, 6th seed Green Bay, 7th seed San Francisco. Lions aren't even in this right now. Chiefs aren't even in the playoffs right now. It'll be interesting to see what Carolina and Dallas do, but yeah, I mean,
So I do you think that there's a bias? I mean, people at home, you should definitely weigh in on that. I think,
I wasn't calling them boring. I'm saying that there's more compelling stories and narratives
dude,
out
come
there.
on, dude. Let's figure it out. I mean, I side with him. No, I think, listen, here's what's really cool about what's going on with the Rams. Okay. I'm sorry my lighting is terrible. I'm looking like a ghost because I feel like
I'm gonna
sometimes, you
go.
know what? Maybe like Baker Mayfield, I'm not feeling so hot right now. Okay. Well, we'll figure out my lighting another day. But if you think about the Rams, they have been so dynamic, and the exact reason even a non-football fan should root or could root or certainly appreciate what the Rams have gone through in terms of a journey. Like even the Nate Landman story, who they brought over in free agency. I loved what Ian Rappaport of NFL Network tweeted out. Like he is a great example of, even when a free agency doesn't work out with another team, finding the right fit, the right compatibility really makes all the difference. And he's coming into a game where he just recently signed a 3-year, $22.5 million extension with the Rams. And someone else pointed out, and I thought it was really great, like, Chris Shula might be a potential head coach, contender heading into 2026. And now they have their insurance lined up with a guy like Nate Landman, who just has become so impactful for the defense. He's just making all these great plays. I think he has at least 3 forced fumbles. I want to say maybe 4. And he's just been, an offensive, excuse me, a vocal leader on the defense, as we spoke last Friday. Don't mind me just moving my wine. As we spoke on Friday, how he was kind of somebody that could potentially fill the shoes of Quentin Lake on the defense in terms of his ability to lead and be somebody in the locker room with that maturity and experience. And, so you have guys like Emmanuel Forbes with the INT, and just these sort of, it's not even fair to call them underdogs, but maybe a little underrated. And then Matthew Stafford not being able to throw a ball in training camp, being his respective age. And then, it's just, I don't know. Call me biased, I guess. But the fact that the Rams were a bit underrated heading into the season, and you have all these, they're not no names, but they're guys that seem to just really work together as a team. You have guys like Aubrey Pleasant. We told a great story about him as a coach. So you don't even need to be a football fan to learn some of the storylines about the Rams in LA this year and what they've had to overcome, losing to a 49ers team who was so banged up. And remember, that's why I was like, well, let's pump the brakes on making sure, just because it's Baker and the Bucks and they may have some injuries, you just never know on any given Sunday. Here we are now, 9-2 and number 1 in the NFC.
Yeah, absolutely. Most complete team. I mean, it's hard to argue with that at this point. I mean, I think, we saw Mevis kick a couple of field goals, accuracy there. And, I don't know if he's got the 60-yard range, but that shouldn't be a problem with this offense.
Yeah, and that's another cool part, right? Like special teams was a big issue.
Mhm.
And then they bring in, Thicker the kicker, and he gets it figured out. It's what do you feel like you're most impressed by with this team?
The secondary, by far. I mean, they came in, and I was one of the people that was vocal, like saying they probably should have added more pieces to that. They should have maybe traded, maybe been in I don't want. I'm not saying 2 first rounders for Sauce, but been in sort of a conversation for that to make it truly elite. And to your point though, on this defense and particularly the secondary, you've got Emmanuel Forbes, you mentioned, cast off from the Commanders. Kobe Durant. I mean, if I'm going to hand out a game ball today, I'm handing a game ball to Kobe Durant. It was almost like all these plays were back to back to back. But they weren't exactly, but it felt that way. A PBU, a huge pass breakup, a TFL on a running play or a screen pass, I believe, and then an interception where he just pulls it out of another guy's hands and scores a touchdown. I mean, really setting the tone early on for the game. So, I mean, Cam Curl, another guy, third among safeties and tackles in the entire league. Second on this team in tackles across the board, with only 3 missed tackles, period, hands down. Probably one of the better safeties out there, just in terms of his power and ability in the tackling game. I mean, I'm just blown away. I put Landman into my category of being blown away by this stuff as well. I've mentioned it before. I've given my mea culpa over and over again, starting in week 1. I didn't believe. Now everybody's on board with Landman. And you kind of touched on this, and with the special teams being a concern and their ability to fix these problems. And, this game really got me thinking about what separates this year's team from last year's team, particularly on offense, just because we saw so much of it stall out last year on offense. And, here's a couple of fixes. Quarterback pressures. Stafford is still getting pressured, but just a little bit less, enough for him to operate in a more clean pocket. Those pre-snap penalties last year were killers. Those were drive killers. Those negative plays. They've really cleaned that up. There was one today, and I was shocked. I was like, oh, that's got to be like one of the few. Third down efficiency and red zone efficiency. You just add a little sprinkling of Devontae Adams and fixes all of that. But those are things last year that like really doomed this team. And they're just like, we're good on those things.
Yeah.
The special teams thing, we'll see how this changes and morphs over the year. It seems like they're keeping Cardi on the roster.
They are, because he's not done auditioning. I think they're still deciding whether or not, and until they need that roster spot. But you're 100% right. And if you take a look at the other thing that's interesting about this year from last year was they've never been in such a winning record position. They're always kind of behind the 8 ball, right? Like it wasn't until the bye did they end up starting to win last year, and the same for the year before that. And media have said this has like little remnants of 2021, and we all know what ended up happening in 2021. But also keep in mind their offensive line had massive issues on the injury front. And granted, you didn't have Rob Havenstein tonight, but there's a lot more consistency and cohesion. And Coach McVay always kind of expounds on the fact that like the best team always ends up just being sort of the most injury free down the stretch. And one of the things that I found to be very interesting that I had asked during camp was how much of the injury situation that impacted them last year will they impart on the team this year, in terms of like, because remember, some of the guys just got injured during practice. It wasn't even like necessary, or during camp. Like the offensive line was having issues because of camp. Same thing. I think I remember Puka having an injury last year during camp. So mediating some of that, being able to have everybody at play. And then this is the other thing. And Ryan, I say it about us as a power duo on the show. If you're having fun, it doesn't feel like work. And Kobe, I just saw, I saw one of his interviews, post-game interviews. He's like, look, we're all having fun. And it really feels like that. And, even guys like Aaron Donald, who, they say he's not coming back. You can tell he really misses the energy of this team. And I think you see it. The team is having fun. Yeah. So I think all of that is contributing to why it seems like things are clicking.
Yeah, 100%. And the injury front, I saw a graphic last week, and the old adage is the best ability is availability.
Yeah.
And they have, until this kind of rash of injuries that cropped up this week, which I'll touch on both offensively and defensively. They had like something like 18 adjusted games lost due to injuries. And the guys, the teams on the other side of that had hundreds. That's how much more healthy this team is. And, injuries, a lot of it comes down to luck, right? Some guy steps on you, some guy rolls up on you. You twist an ankle in a bad way. But this team has really set themselves up for success as much as, controlling as much controllables as they can. So many people kind of mocked that Airstream. What was the name of that company?
I love how you were like, the real MVP is what was it? It was like the Humanosphere or something crazy.
Oh, yeah, whatever they did to Matthew Stafford's back is the MVP of this year.
And you guys posted it. You guys have such a great. You guys got to check out LAFB. Their social game is dialed in. Yeah.
Anywhere you find social stuff, we're there.
Yeah. Very good.
And but at least they're trying. They're trying new technologies. They're trying new ways to find restorative health to keep guys on the field. And it's, right. I don't know if that stuff. I don't know if red light therapy works, but they're trying it, and they're at the forefront of all that stuff. And that's a
Reggie
long way.
Scott.
Yeah,
Reggie Scott.
100%. Smart dude.
Super smart.
Going back to the injuries, a couple of big questions we had on both sides of the ball. On defense, were they going to change, their dime personnel packages, and were they going to, who was going to kind of slot in for Quentin Lake? And they leaned into Josh Wallace. He continued to play a lot. Roger McCreary got his first couple of snaps and exited really early on after maybe five snaps. He's got a hip injury now, so we'll see what happens with that. But they didn't really have to make any adjustments. They kept rolling with that. Now, against a more formidable opponent, will they have to adjust that? We'll keep an eye on that for sure. But just to wrap up on the defensive side, pressure, a lot of pressure coming at it. Kind of a breakout game for the defensive line. In our midseason awards, you just said the whole defensive line deserves Defensive Player of the Year, and it was a team effort. 2 sacks for Turner and Verse, but 5 pressures for Fisk. And Verse was going up against a 3-time All-Pro in Tristan Wirfs for a lot of that. So really, really exciting stuff. And then we'll just throw up Jason's comments here. Just
love
about
that.
The change over time and how Forbes is being viewed.
Yeah.
And just
again, another decision that worked out for the Rams. They got for a steal. They believed in him. And just this system seems to bring out the best in players. Devontae, of course, as one of the big quotes of the offseason was, there's no dark cloud hanging over the environment feels great. And the same thing with Emmanuel Forbes, cut by Washington, benched, and what he was like the 16th overall pick in the 2023 draft. So they got him for a good deal. Obviously, Landman for got him for a good. They just seem like they are really solid at putting pieces together. And the other thing that they're really good at is their Colby Parkinson dance. We need to figure out what that is. They do this like it's almost like a waddle. What is it? You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? Puka does it with Kobe. We'll have to figure out. We'll have to get to the bottom of this.
Of that.
I'll find out. I'll ask them some questions about it. But yeah, because look, at the end of the day, too, the other question that I had was, who is stepping up for Tyler Higbee, right? So if Tyler Higbee is no longer available for whatever the next 4 weeks, who gets the leftovers or the load? Is it going to be a Terrence Ferguson, or is Puka obviously? I think Terrence was only targeted 1 time in the game, so
and only a handful of snaps. But switching over to the offensive side, the question you brought it up already, who the 13 personnel, which was taking the league by storm, got away from it against Seattle. What was it going to look like? They made a big adjustment. They were back in 11 for much of the game. Akella Witherspoon will be back soon. December is what they're targeting. I'm sure as well as this group is playing, they'll probably let that linger, let them heal up completely. And another unsung hero, Poona Ford, really fixing some of the, going back to those issues that plagued them last year. That run defense last year was Swiss cheese, and they've really shored that up. And Poona Ford has been a huge part of that. Apparently, we've already got the answer. Corey Davis started the dance. It's a TD or it's a tight end thing.
See? Thank you. Turbo Fargo.
Yeah, that's our guy Jason, who makes our funny graphics as the Wonder Woman and Superman team.
I would like to see if Ryan could do it. Is there a name for it? We'll find out. I'll ask. I'll go to the bottom of it this week. Although I might not be going to practice on Wednesday because it's Thanksgiving.
Right.
But I'll find out. I will find out because that dance is epic, and it just is so symbolic of what we've seen out of the Rams this season, which is again capital fun, capital F in fun.
Right.
And I think for me, one of the things I'm curious about is guess what, guys? They got the Panthers on deck, and then a Week 15 matchup against the Lions. Like, I don't know how you think. And then what? They've got 6 more games left, right? 6 more games. So,
Yep. Yeah. Seahawks, another game on there. Lions, of course, as well on there. So, yeah, I mean, no cupcake at all. But I mean, if okay, so talking about the offense, I wanted to talk about Puka, but we have to talk about Stafford. Another amazing game, pretty much flawless. Anytime they were hit with a negative play, he bounced right back. Usually I criticize Stafford for zeroing in on Puka and Devontae, and when they're in 11 personnel, just doing those two guys. This time he zeroed in on a couple of defenders, which I thought was pretty interesting. Zion McCollum and Levante David. It seemed like anytime they were in coverage, he targeted them, and those guys gave up a bunch of yardage. He was blitzed on 40% of his dropbacks, which isn't unusual for a Todd Bowles defense. And Stafford came out with a 50% completion rate on those blitzes, and he was only pressured 5 times in this game per PFF. So he is the third most blitz quarterback in the league so far this season.
And it doesn't seem like it's working, right?
It's not working.
It doesn't seem like it's working.
It is and it isn't. I mean, it is. It's the only way. It's the only way to beat this team is you have to get to Stafford and you have to get to him fast. And even then, he's going to carve up the blitzes if you don't play it right on the other side. McDonald in Seattle was doing a fantastic job of doing both, which really affected that game, obviously. So, I'm not saying it's easy, but I mean, that's the only thing I can identify to slow this team down.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's clean, mistake free, 0 interceptions. And that's what he does. He gets rid of the ball quickly. And then you have, guys, big guys, like your tight ends, protecting. I think only total 70 yards rushing. Blake Corum almost scored that touchdown. He almost got in there at the end or whenever that was. And I don't know, it just there's something about this team that does a very good job at adapting to adversity. I mean, you've seen it all year long. So, when it comes to Stafford, I had done this funny segment with the offensive line where I kind of asked for the guys, like, how well do you know your quarterback? But I asked like ridiculous questions, like how does he drink his coffee and what's his favorite emoji? And what I didn't end up featuring this, but Dotson, K-Dot said, he comes in and he's just he's not a quiet leader. He's still very vocal, but he does his business and he's like just very dialed in. And he said that him and Sean McVay, they can butt heads sometimes because they're actually maybe kind of similar. But they, there's something about Stafford that has this like sort of very humbling, quiet confidence about him. Can get chippy too sometimes, but I don't know. Like, why do you think this is the year? Why do you think he's having this kind of career year? Can't be just Devontae.
I think It is in a way. I mean, it's not just Devontae, but like what I was saying before, those things that they fixed for the pressure, third down and red zone efficiency, and those pre-snap penalties. I mean, those were negative plays and they were drive killers. Put them behind the sticks. And you know, every team plays better when they're on their toes than on their heels. But I think 100% this team has to, and we've seen them come out just guns blazing right from the jump in this stretch that they've had, and they get out to a big lead. They were out to a 21-0 lead before I think
Yeah.
I think the first half or the first quarter.
And it feels
And
like the difference is this year, this like back part of the season is, remember they were doing that, but then they weren't sort of finishing, or they were starting slow.
yeah.
And then so now it's like, I don't know. Sorry, keep going.
Shout out Willie Bone here. That's right, number one seed. Just a couple of interesting things, some stats on that. Per the Athletic, they now have a 78% chance of winning the division. Seattle Seahawks with 15% and the 49ers with just 7%. This is per their models by Austin Mock. 53% chance of a first round bye. The only other NFC team that has any chance is the Eagles, who lost today. They're 8-3 now with a 29% chance. And this one's esoteric to me. I don't really know how to wrap my hands around it, but a 17% chance to win the Super Bowl, which is the highest in the league. So
Yeah,
there you go, guys.
and they were 7.5-point favorites heading into the game, right? So
Yeah.
threw that away.
Yeah. Yeah. So where else was I going to go? I just want to talk about Puka. I just want to talk about Puka for a little bit, just because he's got a little bit lost in the shuffle. He doesn't get talked about because he's not getting 15 targets, but his greatness was just on display in 3 ways. Well, let's say 4 ways. His ability to catch and run, just on the fly, just in the move. That chemistry that he and Stafford have. It was just amazing, and they had that one play today that showed that off. Finding space in the middle of the field. I don't know how he does it. It's like he's like a magnet that's like pushing the guys away, and he's just there constantly. And he's finding that space, and he's running the route correctly and making the adjustments. And it's so much like Cooper Kupp, but a few yards deeper. So blocking, everybody knows he's a fantastic blocker in the running game, and when other guys have the ball in their hand. And then these sideline catches. He had that 31-yarder early on. I think it was in the first drive. My goodness, constantly just like toe tapping.
But it's because
insane catches.
it's because you gotta also worry about a guy like Devontae, and I think you just have to respect both of them. Not that you didn't with Cooper last year, but maybe that's freeing him up even more so and giving Stafford more confidence to have 2 great solid targets alongside, obviously, his tight ends, and just a lot of, it sounds like he's got a lot of toys this season and at his disposal. And yeah, it's like you're saying, it's more fun this year watching Puka make these crazy catches than you've seen in the previous year, a couple years.
Well, and it goes back to your question about, what is, why is Stafford playing so well? And they can be multiple. And last year it wasn't a lot of fun because they were having all those problems, on third down. It would, the drive, a good drive would be happening. They'd get a pre-snap penalty 5 yards back, a pressure comes next one, and then they're in third and long, and they didn't even have a chance. And when I think specifically with McVay, and I don't want to criticize anybody on this particular show. We'll save it for other times. But sometimes Sean McVay just kind of loses all of his confidence in his players. We see it sometimes in those third and long situations where he just runs a draw play, and it's like, you got Puka, you got dudes, you got the best plays in the league. You're a genius. Trust your quarterback and your wide receivers and your playmakers, and he's really doing that this year. So, I mean, their ceiling is Super Bowl. Heading into the season, I said if they got to the NFC Championship game, I would consider this a successful season, regardless of whatever happens in the NFC Championship game. Now I'm saying they got to make it to the big dance. That's my new bar. That's my new level. If they don't make the Super Bowl, this season is not a
Are we
success.
road tripping? Are we road tripping up to SF?
Oh, yeah. We'll have Radio Row credentials.
Ooh, yeah. We'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll be there. You're gonna make it a whole vlog.
For sure. I don't know. We'll have the best content we've ever done for LAFC.
We'll bring what are those like sticks? Those, just we'll not sticks, you know what I'm talking about. What is it, like the jerky? What are things you eat on a road trip? I don't know. I'm always thinking about food, guys. So
Cheez-Its and Pop-Tarts are always my go-to.
ooh, what kind of Pop-Tart? You know what? Strawberry. I always go strawberry. I used to be chocolate, and now I can't. I don't know.
Chocolate and then the cinnamon and sugar, but as an old man, the cinnamon sugar now gives me heartburn. Chocolate. It is chocolate all the way. Speaking of which, well, this might be our last show before Thanksgiving. If
that's a possibility. Yeah.
What's your dish?
I can do Wednesday. I will be just not in the LA area.
You're getting out of town.
I will be visiting family south.
Wonderful.
What is my dish? You know what's crazy? I love Thanksgiving and I will crush food. I love to eat. But I'm like, here's what I do. I'm like a once and I'm good. Like I'm not really trying to get all crazy about leftovers. So once I get that fresh like slice of turkey and the gravy and all and the mac and cheese, and my mom makes good like everything. Pies. I'll have pies the rest of the week. I'm really not like reheating stuffing and like that corn casserole. Like that's about it. How about you?
Mine is the green bean casserole with the French onions on top, and
my mom makes that. I love to. I'm like, hey, can I help with anything? It's like, get the heck out of the kitchen. So I do my best. I may make the bread rolls about that. That's about it though.
The crescent rolls.
Yeah, that's about it. I'll deal with the cocktails.
That's actually my specialty as well. I do the I call it the autumnal spritz, and it's made with a local Amaro from Ventura Spirits.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it right now. And then I do it with Lambrusco and a sprig of rosemary, a little splash of either tonic or club soda, whichever, if you want to get. Anyway, we're getting to the weeds over here. All right.
Ooh, the whiners. Yeah.
The 40 whiners. All right. Well, guys, next game is Panthers.
Yeah.
We'll have full preview on that. We'll be talking probably sometime this week more about something. Not sure what the programming will be, but kind of a short week for us with the holiday. But guys, appreciate you showing up. As always, you guys are amazing. We do it for you. Thanks for turning out in the comments. Let us know what we can do. I don't want to say better. What do you want to see more of or less of? Or do you want more Thanksgiving turkey talk? I don't know.
All right.
Oh, look at this one. Wild goose or duck.
Oh, see, I'm into that. I would do duck for sure. Duck.
Not a big duck guy, but I like changing it out from the turkey.
Yeah.
I want to go to an Italian Thanksgiving with more pasta involved.
Oh yeah. Are you Italian and you have a last name that's Anderson? No. What is your heritage?
I am Swedish, German, and Serbian. Well, Croatian. According to 23andMe, I'm more Croatian than Serbian, and they're the less offensive of peoples from that area, from the Balkans. Less controversial anyway. Yeah. Are you all Italian?
Nope. I'm half Irish.
Okay. Yeah.
Half Irish, half Italian. And my
Erin
parents,
Coscarelli, that name is Irish and Italian. Yeah.
Really creative. And my mom was like, originally my first name was going to be Vanessa, but then my mom thought that was going to be too long to write with my last name. So she just opted Erin as a simple first name. So thanks, Mom.
My mom wanted to name me Timothy, and my dad overrode that with the
Yeah.
Ryan. Not a
Yeah.
drop of Irish in me, though. Ryan's a very Irish name. Anyway, guys, let's get the heck out of here. Everybody go enjoy your night. We will see you soon for sure. Whatever the programming will be, we will be here.